there are so many things, so many conversations you need to have with the family, because I was picking media and nobody in my family was into media. And so there was this constant question of who is going to guide you through this. And there are so
Mhm,
many different
mhm.
stories you hear about the industry. And so
From the Garden State, New Jersey, from one mom to another, it's time for Mom's Talk. Here's Avni.
Welcome, Supermoms, to another episode of Mom's Talk. Our today's Supermom guest is a video jockey, an RJ, a playback singer, head of content and partnerships at iDream Media, Sriranjani. Welcome to the show, Sriranjani.
hi, Ami, how are you?
I'm doing great. You look awesome.
Thank you. I'm working on it.
There you go. That's the perfect shot. You're so versatile. I mean, you've been doing so many things at once. Being a mother. I want to start off by asking you, how do you manage the work and life balance?
So the thing is that I think it all starts off when you have a great work ethic. Because I think my parents always told me that if you're getting paid something, you always have
Hmm.
to work more than you're getting paid for. And that's
Hmm.
how you build equity, and that's how you build a reputation for being an honest, dependable, reliable person, in the workforce. So that's something that I had inculcated over the years, even before I became a
Hmm.
mom. So there was never a company when when I was leaving, a place, they would always want to retain me. They would always ask if there was anything they could do to change my mind. And
Hmm.
that definitely came from building a reputation of being a good worker. And I think that
Hmm.
solid work ethic really translates into so many other little benefits that you can expect from your organization because
Hmm.
of it, right? Because you work extra and because you give results. When you need something, it almost always happens for you. And that's because of how much you invest yourself in what's happening at the workplace. And I think that's something that's really really important, especially for women, because um a we talk
Hmm.
about so many things like wages, why are women getting paid less, and we talk about how we need more women in the
Hmm.
workforce. So we talk about so many things like that. It becomes even more of a responsibility for people who are already on the workforce to make people or to challenge people's notion that women will not prioritize work, or women will run away from responsibilities at work when they have responsibilities at home, which is not true. We are more than capable of being dutiful in more places than one. We always have been. And
Yeah.
I think one more thing, yeah, I mean, what I've noticed is men have this knack, again, like their gene or their makeup or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Like they have
Hmm.
this knack of making their work get noticed. And I
Hmm.
think that's a very important trait in the corporate work culture, because it's not enough if you do it. It's also important that people know that you did it, because that's how you're going to earn that reputation. And I think as women, we're always nurtured to think that your work should speak for itself. And while that is true, I think in
Yeah.
certain work environments, it also becomes really important for you to kind of put yourself out there and say that I made this happen. And there's no it's not wrong to do that. It is not a lack of humility, but mere self preservation, that it is, when you're saying that you did something. And I think that is a sort of a mental block that
Hmm.
we have to overcome because of how generally, the way we brought up, all of that. So there's a lot of things that you unlearn in the process of discovering how things work, all the different bearings of the corporate world.
Sriranjani, you very well spoke about women in corporate world. I think we are all coming together right now, and I also think that beautiful guests like you come on the show, you share your stories, your experiences, your thoughts with all of us. So I think we're getting there. We're all getting there now. You've been doing such a wide range of things in your life. Were these your hobbies growing up?
Yeah, I always loved performing. So there were these kids who had stage fright, where they would
Hmm.
they would really practice and they would give their 100% during rehearsal, but being put on the stage, and with everyone watching them, they would freak out a little bit. But I had the opposite of that, where people watching me, and like, I'm performing for so many people. That used to be sort of a turn on for me. I used to actually get more enthusiastic and more excited by that. So that
Mhm.
was a trait that my parents figured out and my grandparents figured out very early on, when I was a real kid, real young kid. And it hasn't stopped ever since, because when they realized that I enjoy that a lot, they kept making me go, pursue the arts. And
Mhm.
I'm not very much into sports. I mean, I'll be honest, there are things we're good at and things we're not good at. And I think I'm a little bit of
Yeah.
I don't want to, yeah, I think I'm a little not on the athletic side, or in sports and all
Mhm.
that. But
Mhm.
anything to do with being on stage was always there, writing even. And because of that, because that felt like home, I naturally gravitated towards pursuing arts and media. And once I started doing reality shows as a teenager, I realized that I'd not only like being a participant, but I would also like to be a presenter of those reality shows, or maybe I would like to produce a
Uh-huh.
reality show. So
Mhm.
all of those experiences kind of accumulated into paving my way towards pursuing media as academically as possible as well. So there are a lot of people who do engineering or do something else, do law, and then they realize that their true calling lies in media. But because of all these
Mhm.
experiences, I think even while I was in school, I was very clear that I wanted to learn filmmaking. I wanted to learn film, production, film appreciation. I wanted to learn all of that academically, and that's why I did my BSc in electronic media. And at the time,
Mhm.
I wasn't even an avid radio listener. To be honest, I really just preferred listening to my own music vis-a-vis what came on the radio and all that. So radio just happened by chance. It was like I did an internship at Radio Mirchi, and then later at Suryan FM, and then it was all those experiences and talking
Mhm.
to those RJs. And obviously, without my own knowledge, I had been honing my presenting skills from a very young age. So all of that
Mhm.
kind of led me to my first job, which was as an RJ. And then I started to really love radio. I grew to love the medium so much. I still
It's
love
like
it.
an
I
addiction, once you start doing it, you cannot stop it.
Leave it.
Absolutely. And I think that radio also has its own ways of making you take ownership of what you do. Because as an
Mhm.
RJ,
Mhm.
whether your producer does due diligence in terms of getting you content or not, ultimately it's your voice that people listen to, and it's your show that they're tuning into. And so you always have the sense of ownership that what goes out of me needs to be of a certain caliber, of a certain quality. And that
Mhm.
really, like inculcates that sense of ownership, which then translates into everything that you do. So I always tell people in media that if they start out in radio, they're going to really groom as a professional, no matter which which area of expertise they choose. It really grooms them. And I think that I was really lucky to land in radio
Mhm.
as the fresher. I really think I was lucky.
So, is this how it all started, your journey of being into different fields? Did it start from you
From
being an
being an
RJ?
RJ, and I was already doing reality shows as a teenager, which is when I started pursuing playback. I don't do playback actively anymore, but that's also due to due to so
Mhm.
many other things. Yeah, because like if you're a singer, you ought to take care of your voice. You can't be doing a radio show for like 4 or 5 hours every day, straining your voice, and then expect to sound
Mhm.
really fresh if you have a recording the very next morning. You can't do
True.
like an evening show full of energy, and like I'm doing the evening drive, I'm going to keep you guys all like throughout your traffic, I'm going to keep you company. You can't say that and
Mhm.
then the
Mhm.
next morning you're not able to really deliver. And so there came a
Mhm.
point where I had to choose. And I knew that we all have to make certain trade-offs at some point of time. And for me, I think that I was happy doing music even within my house, but I don't think I could just keep presenting in front of my mirror. I don't think I would have been happy doing that. And so I just then there comes another battle, right? Where you have to convince your parents that that this is what your heart is telling you, and this is what your gut is telling you, and it's what your brain also wants to accumulate. This is what it wants to acquire. So there are so many things, so many conversations you need to have with the family, because I was picking media and nobody in my family was into media. And so there was this constant question of who is going to guide you through this. And there are so
Mhm.
many different
Mhm.
stories you hear about the industry. And so it's a very fair sort of fear that they had. But I think eventually they could also see through how much I wanted it, and they said, okay, we'll give it a shot. I mean, we don't have a choice otherwise. So I actually wanted to pick up a diploma in film technology, and that was going to be like a 4 or 5 year course, but with only a diploma at the end of it. And my parents were like, no, no, I need at least a degree. Okay? Degree holder, please, that much you give me. So then again, there was a trade-off. I had to do my BSc in electronic media, which was also really good because I got to pick up on design, I got to pick up on radio, audio editing, video softwares. So it was a much more rounded, a course, and the program itself was like more holistic program than just film technology. So in a way, that also turned out to be great. But so sometimes when you have these dialogues, they make you take a decision which actually in the long run is also good for you, whether you realize it at that moment or not.
One more thing I wanted to ask you, Sri Ranjani. What would be your message for our moms?
My daughter has a very loud message for all of you.
I can hear that.
I think that's the biggest message. Yeah, I think that, for a long time, we've had to hold back so much, and now is our time, and it's up to us to make the most of it. We have so much technology that favors us. We get to drive the narrative so much more than we used to be able to before, and it's completely up to us to make the most of all of these things that are favoring us right now. I would be foolish for people to not take that step even now. We have been endowed with so much more than our previous generations. It's almost like, we better do it. And I think that would be my message, to really be resilient, to persevere, and to fight the odds and go and get things done. I don't mean to say that we've got to fight with people or we've got to be aggressive. I think that you can silently go about, like you can pick and choose your battles. You can turn a blind eye to things that do not fit in with your goals, and you can go about doing your mission even silently. It need not be something loud with a lot of hullabaloo. I really think that we need to take things in perspective and keep marching towards what we want to achieve, and that's the biggest lesson. In the middle of wanting to speak up about so many things, we often lose sight of what we really want to do, or what our time should be used for.
Beautifully said, Sri Ranjani. Playback singing. Before you go, Sri Ranjani, I would like to request a few lines if you could please sing it for us.
I'm gonna sing my favorite Shreya Ghoshal song from Devdas, her debut and all that, and I was like, wow, what a debut, right? So uh, सिलसिला ये चाहत का न मैंने तुझने दिया हाँ, पिया ये दिया ना बुझा है ना बुझेगा मेरी चाहत का पिया मेरे पिया अब आजा रे मेरे पिया मेरे पिया अब आजा रे मेरे पिया.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sri Ranjani.
For your Tamil audiences who are watching, வாங்கி போட்ட வெத்தல ஆசவாக்குல சாமி வாயி முத்தம் கொடுத்தா ஆசை வந்துடும் சாமி சொர்க்கபுரம் போவோனோ நல்ல வழி காமி ஓ ஒட்டுக்கென்ன மேனி தொடங்கட்டு மரவு வடிக்கட போலே வளரட்டும் வயிறு கொஞ்ச நேரம் என்ன கொள்ளையா ஐயா கொஞ்ச நேரம் என்ன கொள்ளையா சண்டை கோழி கோழி இவ சண்டை கோழி கொஞ்சம் தடவு தடவு இப்ப சொந்த கோழியா கைய வச்சா நெஞ்சுக்குள்ளே ஐயாமுயா.
Amazing. Sriranjani, thank you so much for coming on the show. I love that energy of yours and keep it going.
Thank you, Avni. I had a lovely time being here on this discussion, and thank you to all the moms who are part of this Moms Talk community. Thank you for empowering each other, and thank you for being a listener to other people's journeys and stories. And I'm sure we all stand to learn something from each other. So congratulations, Avni, to you for again like creating a
Thank you.
forum where we have healthy discussions like this.
Hi, this is Avni from Mom's Talk. Help me spread the word and join me on my mission of motivating other moms by sharing the video. Thank you for watching.